Why does Notre Dame, despite being packed full of tourists, still feel so reverent? Why do the gargoyles seem more alive than the crowd? And why do the sunlit gargoyles and shadows dancing on the walls feel so otherworldly? It's because Notre Dame wasn't just built for looks. Its sacred geometry and sound dynamics were tuned to produce one of history's most immersive spiritual spaces. So strap in. Here's the geometry of Notre Dame, the cathedral that sings. First, let's orient ourselves with a map of Notre Dame's floor plan. With its Latin cross layout, it's easy to get lost in the intricacies of this image. So let's start by zooming out. Notice the main nave running down the center, branching into the transept on either side like wings. At the far end, we have the choir, where the famous rose window sits. But what is really interesting is how all these shapes fit together using precise proportions that follow the golden ratio. This isn't just some decorative flourish. It means that every bay, arch, and vault follows a single mathematical rule, creating an overall harmony in the space. As pointed out in geometric studies using laser scans, the church's layout is indeed based on the golden rectangle and the golden section. It was carefully measured and aligned with a grid to layer symbolic meaning over structural stability. Okay, now let's zoom back in to appreciate the smaller details of the design. Everywhere you look, you see shapes inspired by the lotus flower. Like in this image of the west rose window, this motif is called a hexafoil, a six-sided figure made by superimposing to overlapping circles in geometry. This form is called a vesica piscis, which also appears throughout the cathedral, especially in the rose windows and tracery. Together, they emphasize the key ideas, unity and duality. The circle represents unity or the divine, while the overlapping circles show how these divine elements intersect and interact. This is a subtle visual hymn to the underlying order of the universe. Now let's look at a cross-section view of the building. Note how the ceiling is supported by large stone ribs forming a series of pointed arches. This is a common feature of Gothic architecture. Above the crossing, the ribs come together in a beautiful pattern called sexpartite vaulting. This arrangement has 6 sections or parts, hence the name. These ribs act as the skeleton of the ceiling, transferring weight to the columns below. They were carefully arranged to optimize the diffusion of sound across the space. In combination with the vaulted ceiling and other architectural features, they help prevent harsh echoes and standing waves, creating good acoustic clarity according to a study published in MDPI. But what did the sound diffusion look like in practice? Well, we know that the interior height of Notre Dame is around 45 meters or 148 feet. This height, combined with a rib vaulting, creates a space capable of producing long reverberation times. We're talking 6 to 9 seconds at mid-frequencies. This means that sound waves can bounce around the interior multiple times before they die off, creating a lush, enveloping sonic environment. In 2016, researchers created a digital twin of the cathedral using detailed 3D scans of the interior. They used this twin to run simulations of how sound would propagate throughout the space under various conditions, such as with or without carpets. Their findings were published in the Journal of the Acoustical Society of America. The study explained that these long reverberation times are due to the highly absorptive materials used in the construction, such as the limestone walls and ceilings. The researchers concluded that the overall effect is a rich, resonant acoustic environment that enhances the experience of music and speech. But what did music sound like inside Notre Dame in the past? To find out, researchers worked on the Past Has Ears at Notre Dame project. They wanted to understand how the cathedral's acoustics changed over time by simulating different historical scenarios. For example, in 1804, when Napoleon was crowned emperor, sound would have been absorbed by heavy draperies hung around the choir stalls. By recreating these conditions, they found that sound would have been muffled and more diffuse, unlike the drier, more reverberant sound of today. Using these models, the team produced oralizations, which are computer-generated reconstructions of music performances in the cathedral. Listeners can use these oralizations to virtually move through the space and hear how acoustics shift pillar to pillar. The project was later expanded to include soundscapes from other eras, giving us a richer understanding of how this iconic building has evolved over time. So there you have it, a brief introduction to the sacred geometry and acoustics of Notre Dame de Paris. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos about history. Until next time, thank you for watching.